There is an unusual and amazing tree that originates in India called the banyan tree. It's unusual because it has so many trunks. The branches of this massive tree are constantly sending out roots from the top that anchor into the soil below and expand to become additional trunks. A single banyan tree may cover an area nearly 1,500 feet in circumference and have more than 3,000 trunk-like roots. The banyan tree is sacred to the Hindus. They give it its name, which means trader, because markets are held under its vast sheltering framework. Today we're going to be doing an art lesson based on the banyan tree, and it's called the blazing banyan tree.
Get out your art toolkit, get out your brown waxy piece of paper, and cover your work surface. And in your toolkit, you're going to, in the very back, there are some pieces of watercolor paper. Go ahead and pull it out one piece, please. And on the back, you're going to write your full name and your in-person teacher. And then flip it back over. You'll want your piece of paper horizontally aligned for today's project. All right, the first step is you're going to put about 4 fingers down and mark about there, and then you're going to draw a very, very light horizon line. You need to draw a large trunk with 2 opposing curved lines. After this step, you're going to continue the curved line out to the end of the paper.
Then you're going to draw 3 wavy lines in the middle. The next step, you're going to draw the root system that's coming off of the branches. Again, you'll want to draw some wavy lines down to the horizon line.
You're going to add in some other little offshoots from those roots.
The next step, we're going to draw in the branches and make them thick instead of just one single line. So essentially what you're doing is you're making parallel lines with these branches. Notice sometimes I have to make a V shape to join the branches. The next step is we're going to be adding in some additional branches, the thinner branches. And we're going to be using Y shapes and coming off from each branch. Notice that I take the branch from one of the larger branches and then I continue the line all the way out to the edge.
So at this point you can look at your tree and see if there's anything that you want to change. I kind of want to change the way that this meets together here a little bit more. That we need to add in 2 arches in the base of that tree. Now we're ready to add some color.
All right, open up your art toolkit, pull out the main fun part, and you'll need to get out your cup and empty out the contents into the plastic bag. And then you also need to get out your oil pastels and your watercolor palette.
Okay, so you want to put some water in your water cup and you want to get a paper towel of some sort. I got some toilet paper, whatever works. And what we're going to work on first is the colors that are in the background.
What we're going to do first is we're going to apply the water in the areas that you want the color. So notice how I am outlining and filling the area in, and then I grab a color and I add it. See how the color moves around with the water. Now what I should have actually done, instead of choosing red first, I should choose the yellow first, because you need to start with lighter colors so that your water doesn't change yucky colors. So we're gonna actually do all the yellow areas first. And again, you fill in the outside edges with the water, and then you fill it in with water. And then at this point, we're going to do the horizon line. Right at the horizon line, we're going to add the yellow in. And you can Just keep it right on the horizon line, right in that one little area. Add in the water, add in the pigment, and make it as vibrant as you would like. And then once you're done with that horizon line area, then you go back up into the branches and choose some other areas to make yellow. The more pigment that you have on it, the more vibrant the colors will be. The more water that you have on it, the more diluted the color will be. So choose some sections up in the top branch areas and outline it, and then fill it in with the yellow. And in this instance, I'm going to select 5 areas to place the yellow in the top. You may recall in prior years that I've told you that people like to look at odd numbers. So odd numbers meaning like 1 or 3 or 5. So notice I put 5 different areas of yellow up in the top. Now we're ready to add in the orange. I'm adding in the water first along the top of the yellow area, and then I will grab the color orange and put it right alongside of it and let it blend in. The water will move it itself. You can even add some water in right along the line where they mix, and that will allow it to help mix a little bit more. And you can add more of the color from the watercolor if you'd like to make it even more vibrant. Now it's time, we're going to put some of the orange up top, and most of this should be relatively dry at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and add some orange in up here as well. Let's choose another spot for orange. Okay, I want a little more orange down here. And actually I want to add a little bit more yellow down there too, so right where it meets. I've got 3 oranges up top. I may add some more later, but remember we like to look at things in odd numbers. So we have some 5 yellows, we've got 3 oranges. Let's move on to some reds. First add in the water above the orange. Right, now pick up the red in the brush and run it along the top part of where the orange was. Grab a little bit more. Notice how the water moves it for you. Don't have to work it too hard if you want it more vibrant, though. Of course, add more of the pigment. And then one thing I like to do is go back and add a little bit more of the orange color right along there, so that way it can mix nicely with the reds. Add the reds in up top, so pick where you want it and fill in the area first. And then add the color to it. It's okay if it's bleeding a little bit into the yellow area. It's not the end of the world. You can always take your paper towel that you've got and blot it out if you don't want that red in there. Again, if you want it a little bit more vibrant, just add some more from that watercolor palette.
add the water in first. And then on your palette, black, brown, this is violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So we're going to be using this violet color. You don't need much, it's pretty potent, so just add it in there. And watch it move around. Again, I kind of like to add that red right next to it, so that way they can blend together. Very pretty like that. Okay, I'm going to add in the violet color. And then I'm going to add in that red right along next to it so that it can mix. And then I'll just take my brush, maybe you can even take a little bit out of the water out of it and run it along that branch edge so you can get kind of more of a diluted purple color. And then you can do the same thing along this side. If anytime you want to take up some of the paint, you can just dry off your paintbrush and it kind of sops it up. Okay, so we've got kind of our sunset sky in. Now we've got to put the purple up into the tree area. And then I'm going to choose another spot for the purple. I actually want to make this one purple up here instead of having it be pink, so. And I think I'm going to stick with those three. It's a pretty vibrant color, so we still have 1, 2, 3 more areas left. And at this point, if you want to add in a blue or a green, this would be a good time to do it. I think I'm going to add in a blue because I really like the color blue. Okay, so now the whole upper portion of the project is done. Let's go toward this lower section. I want you to grab a black oil pastel. And what I want you to realize is that each of these trunks will be black. So it's like a big black tree, and this is going to be the water reflection. So what I want you to do, water is more of a horizontal, like the way that you see things in water. It looks a little bit more horizontal in nature. So what you're going to do is you're going to start at the horizon line for each of these, and I want you to make a black. For these ones, it'll be a little bit smaller. And just make a little black dot. And then I want you to think that it's looking at it as a reflection. So, you know, it might move in the water. I'd like you to grab some of the colors that you used up top. And like I've got some purple over here. I'm going to fill in a little bit of purple, again, side to side. Kind of keep some of those similar colors. I got a purple, I've got another purple kind of in this area here, and a purple up top here. Just the feeling of that color. And you're going to grab some of the other colors you used, like red. I've got some red over here. Okay, and then I also have some yellow. Be careful of getting it, like I just did, into the black area because it gets yucky. All right, blue. 1 second. I want you to take your yellow oil pastel and run it right along the top of that horizon line. Okay. And if it got all gross, just wipe it off. Now we're ready for the water. Because we've put oil pastel down, we can put water over top of it because oil pastel resists the water. So we're going to go ahead and cover this bottom section in water in preparation to put down some of the blue color. Now that the bottom section's covered in the water, grab some of the blue coloring and add it in. Notice how the water moves the color around and it gives you the feel of water, and that's the aim that you're going for right now, is that you want to feel the water. So go ahead and add in the blue until it's all complete in the bottom section. Okay, so you can tell how it kind of locked in the water that we put in there because of that oil pastel on the top, and just make sure you fill in any white areas. All right, it's time to dry your brush off, and then pull out your art tool kit, pull out the little bag with the black container of paint. Okay, open it up. Okay, you'll be using it directly out of this container. The bottom of your paper is wet, so turn your paper upside down, and you're going to start outlining the branch area with your dry brush with the Jazz Gloss paint. You're going to outline the branches first. So outline those thick branches each side, outline the one side, and then outline the other side. And once you're done outlining both of those sides, then you're going to fill in the whole branch area with the black. And notice as I'm outlining, I'm holding my paintbrush kind of like a pencil, and I'm trying to make sure that there is enough paint on my brush. So if you ever see any white blotchy areas, then you know you need to get some more paint. Again, notice I'm outlining the branch first, and I probably should have done this branch first, seeing as then my hand wouldn't necessarily knock into the other branch. So outline the branches and then fill them in with the Jazz Gloss paint, and you're going to do that for the rest of the tree. I also want you to notice how I'm turning the paper. You don't have to keep it straight up and down. If you turn the paper, it'll help you as you're outlining and filling in, and then you won't knock into wet parts. Notice how the white marks started showing up, and I went to go get some more paint. One thing I just noticed here is this orange color doesn't seem to be all the way dry, so it's bleeding. I'm gonna try and stop it. I'm still waiting to do anything near the bottom here. We're gonna keep doing these ones up at the top, because we want to make sure all this is dry before we get anywhere close to there, because we don't want to have another scenario like that happen. I am going to fill in this to fix that. Now we're ready to work on the smaller branches in the tree. Notice all the areas where the colors change. Those lines there are going to be branches. So we're going to make the bottom next to the branches a little bit thicker, and then you take a single line out to the edge. And you're going to do that on each of the sections where the colors change. Again, make it a little thicker by that base of the branch, and then continue the single line out. And keep the base a little bit thicker and the single line out. And continue that through the branches of the banyan tree. You'll notice that red and blue section kind of
merged into each other, but that's okay. I can just paint right over it and can't tell. And then additionally, I want to point out, especially in this thinner branch area, I'm really holding my paintbrush more straight up and down as I paint it. And that gives me a little bit more control, and it allows the branches to be a little bit thinner, my brush stroke to be a little bit thinner. All right, we're done with the top portion. Now this area here with the roots that are reaching down to the horizon line is dry. So now I'm going to use that same straight up and down motion with my brush and paint the roots all the way down to the horizon line. And continue that through the right and left side of the painting. Now we're ready to start painting the main trunk area. First, make sure it's dry, and then again, do the outline first. If you need to turn your paper, turn your paper. Again, before you paint in some areas, double check that it's dry, and then outline, and then fill in, just like before. And I think we're done now with this, so go ahead and put it in your water cup. Close up your jazz gloss paint. And you won't be needing it again, but there's still a good amount in there, so if you have other art projects you want to do in the future, you can save it. I'm going to suggest we pick this up and tap it at the bottom to get off the oil pastels at the bottom. If you want to, in this bottom section, if you want to make those colors a little bit more vibrant, just grab the oil pastels associated with the colors and reapply over there. If you have some areas that you want to color in a bit more, that maybe some white's showing through or something, so just go through each of the colors. If you need to make it a little bit more vibrant, go for it. And then again, you can tap, tap, tap. Another fun idea that you can do, if you feel like you want a little bit more vibrant colors up in the top, you can take those same colors. You might want to rub off the yellow to make sure it's still yellow, and try to stay away from the jazz gloss, but you can reapply some of those colors in the oil pastels, and it gives it kind of fun other shades of yellow and orange and purple and blue, and you can even fix, remember we had to blot out this one area, you can fix those sort of spots with it. So it's another idea if you'd like to add some different depth in there. Okay, it's time to clean up. Go ahead and put your oil pastels back inside your art toolkit. Next, you need to wash your brush, and you need to make sure and wash it really well with soap and water. And after you've washed it really well with soap and water, then you need to dry it. If it's not washed out really, really well, it's not going to be ready for the next time you need it, and you need it for all year. So when you're all done, wrap it up into your watercolors and put it back in your art kit. Make sure your water cup is washed out and dried, and put it back in your art toolkit. One last thing to do, if you did do oil pastels at the top, tap it. All right, you set it aside, and then you've got to wipe off this brown waxy piece of paper. You're going to use it every single time, and you don't want to be putting it away dirty into your art toolkit, and you will just wipe it off and make sure it's all the way dry, and then fold it on up and stick it inside of your art toolkit. And then put the rest of your art tools inside your bigger bag of your art toolkit.